Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now introduce the Board of Directors. Sitting next to me is Dr. Hilda Pena Alfaro, Tasha Woods, Dr. Meg Ludlam, and Dr. Jonathan Henderson, and I am Jason White. We are joined by Superintendent Ginger Haberer and one of our district admin. And I think we have Kim also, a couple people maybe on Zoom as well. It's wonderful to see everybody here tonight. So board, up first, we have the consent agenda. We have had the opportunity to review the items as a board at our study session, as well as individually. So you've had time to see clarification. I will entertain a motion. And I think based off of the study session, I think we were going to ask that the study session minutes be pulled this time because we weren't able to all view it until just right before the meeting. So if we can just pull those, Leslie, do we need to vote on that? I think everybody is in agreement with that from the study session, so we're just going to ask. Go ahead, Meg. Oh, your batteries are dead. That's a problem. Did you turn it on underneath? It really is dead?
You can use this one.
Okay, Hilda and I'll share.
Yeah, there's some gaps in those minutes to fill, too, so that makes sense to leave them out.
Okay, perfect. All right, so just to confirm with Leslie and with the board, the consent agenda now just has two items on it. It is the September 22nd regular meeting, as well as the warrants. And the study session minutes for September 22nd has been removed and we will table that and add that to our next approval for our next board meeting. Board, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with those two items on it.
Okay, it's back. How many of these do we have? This is kind of fun. I can't wait to watch this on video. Okay. All right. So just to review, if I remember correctly, Tasha had, nope, it was Meg. Meg had moved that we approve the consent agenda and Hilda had seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, then I will call the vote. Jonathan. Meg.
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
Hilda.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Consent agenda is approved. Next is administration. First off, we have the superintendent update. Ginger.
Board, we've got great things happen here in ESD. I had an opportunity to be at Valley View this week and had a chance to see Stacy Clausen in action. She was remarkable. She's one of our new multi-tiered system of support. And she just did a phenomenal job. Looking at data, they had their maths data, they had their FAST data. We're talking about they already had started in time. And so that was really, it was really exciting to see. And teachers are, I think, are very enthusiastic about having that special time during the day when they can meet the individual needs of students and personalize that learning. So that was really exciting. Another thing that happened today, actually, and I think Jason will probably share about a little bit later, is we met with CWU and a CTE director from Richfield School District, and the CAPS program, which is all about creating career pathways for students. And we just had a really great discussion. It was an all-day event. We had a chance to meet with city leaders at the city council room this morning, and just hear about the way that this program can really bring our community partners together, our business leaders, in supporting our students, and really knit us together as a tight community, and really take advantage of the expertise that we have in our community. So we're going to spend another half day tomorrow. We are in the process of putting together a proposal that we will actually be delivering to the governor, that we would like him to consider us as a pilot program with the use of this CAPS. And I'll have more specific information and some slides to show you about that next time we meet at our next board meeting. And that's my report.
All right, thanks, Ginger. Any questions, board? No? Okay. Next up on administration is the levy resolutions.
So, board, we have two resolutions for you. And the first resolution that we would like for you, that we recommend for you to pass, is our EP&O levy. And we went over that information in depth at our last study session. And so the recommendation is to formally adopt and approve this resolution.
Could you clarify the next steps when we approve the resolution? What would be next? What would be following?
Yeah, the next steps involve us reaching out to the community, and community members it's a board appointed committee. And so we'll talk about that at our next meeting. And those people who are appointed by the board will have an opportunity to make statements that would be in favor of the levy, and also an opportunity for a community member to write a statement that would not be in favor of the levy resolution. And then that information needs to be submitted to OSPI. So the adoption and approval of this would be dependent on approval from OSPI. But my understanding is they are getting a lot of those this season. So we thought it would be important to get approval from you, and then we'll put it into OSPI. In speaking to Corey Plager, and who is the consultant that we've been working with, DA and Davidson and Jim McNeil, who actually helped draft the resolution. OSPI just kind of checks over it just to make sure that the wording and that kind of thing is right. But and that is because sometimes people will do the resolutions and maybe not use an attorney for that. But he said it's not really an issue as far as them not approving the content. So it's kind of more of a formality, but that would be the next step, would be to send it to OSPI, and then to get the board committees to write those statements. And then we would submit it to the city to officially put on the ballot.
As board members, when do we as board members need to get involved with talking to people about the levy, and in what manner, the way we did with the bond?
Once the board formally adopts it, which we're asking for tonight through the resolution, then we have planned to just have ways of just sharing just pure information about the levy with our community groups like we did with the bond, and just encouraging people to vote. And just getting out information. So we can review some of that again next week when we go to get the statements.
Well, I would like to thank Ginger and the admin for all the work that has been done and all the presentations and information that you've given the board on this. I think this is really well put together. I appreciate the hard work and dedication to get it out there. This is for our community, and I'm thrilled to support it. So, board, any other discussion or comments? This is an action item.
So I move that we approve the levy resolution.
And just for clarification, there are two. So I'm going to just clarify, Hilda, this is yes, Educational Programs and Operations Levy. I have heard Jonathan second. So Hilda has moved that we approve and Jonathan has seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Jonathan?
Aye.
Meg? Aye. Tasha?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution passed or resolution approved. Thank you, Superintendent Haber. And the second resolution.
Second resolution is the capital levy, which is for instructional technology improvements, and that's related to the presentation that Mike Welch did for us at the last study session.
And again, thank you for the previous presentations and all the information. Again, it was very helpful. It was great for the board to ask questions and get this information out there. So board, any questions? Any discussion? This is also an action item. Okay, Meg has moved that we approve the capital levy resolution. Is there a second?
And I second.
Hilda has seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. Jonathan? Aye. Meg? Tasha?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Capital levy resolution has been approved. All right, yay. All right. So moving forward, we have no business tonight, but we do have a policy, the equity policy, which we have been talking a lot about. So Ginger and or Hilda, would you like to have a word?
I'm really excited about this policy and just appreciate Hilda and Meg and Tasha and Jonathan and Jason. I know you all have a real passion for equity and the importance of especially having equitable outcomes for our students. And just am in full, as a superintendent, fully supportive of this policy and just looking forward to continue to work. I know that our ESD team is very excited about it. Our staff members, I think, are eager to just continue to dig into this work and just keep getting better and better for our students. So we highly recommend the approval of this policy.
All right, thank you, Ginger. And again, I want to applaud all the hard work by everyone in this room and those at the district that have helped to craft this. I think I will speak for myself. I am thrilled and excited that this is finally coming to pass. I think it's just one more step in the right direction for us to move forward and to get it into writing. And by no means does this solve any problems other than it just says we really are dedicated to this, and we are going to continue to support the admin to support it as we move forward. So, board, any discussion, comments?
I am also very happy to have this policy ready to be approved. And I just want to reiterate that this is like the first step. We have a long way to go, and it's a community effort in which all of us have to participate, but I am very happy that we are giving this huge first step now.
Thank you. I'm looking at the board. Anyone else? Otherwise, this is an action item. Okay, Tasha has moved that we adopt the equity and inclusion policy. Jonathan has seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Jonathan? Meg? Tasha? Hilda?
Aye.
I also vote aye. The equity policy is approved.
I'm also going to applaud.
Yes, I want to clap for that one. That's pretty exciting. Yes, thank you so much. All right, that moves us to board reports. Hilda, do we have an early learning report?
No, we are getting together by the end of October, so I would say that for the next session, hopefully I will have a report.
Thank you, Hilda. Our students are not here tonight, so we won't have a student report. And then Tasha, teaching and learning.
Thank you. Last week, I was able to join in on a network phone call with our superintendent and various board members and superintendents from across the state, working with Solution Tree. Solution Tree, you might remember, is something that we're working with to strengthen our professional learning communities and to be reflective of that work and intentional. We are in year 1 of the implementation, and there are 3 years of working through this. It was a very informative community. It was great to see and hear from other districts of what they are working on. And I would say the Solution Tree facilitators were able to share that with intentionality that our teachers have carved out time, educators have carved out time to come and collaborate together and to review student work and how that benefits our students' achievement and opportunity in the classroom, making it very relevant and intentional, more proactive than reactive. PLCs are important, learning communities are important. And so if you remember, we took a step to support that learning community by adopting the calendar, and the calendar carves out that time, the school calendar carves out that time on Wednesdays. So it is something that our families and our students have also are taking that extra moment to allow our educators and staff to collaborate together. And so it was very reassuring to hear from Solution Tree the process that we'll be going through and to be a part of a network. It's not just our district going through it, it's a statewide learning community for everybody, and that it was ongoing. It was a very informative call. What's next?
Brief one. WASDA School Directors Association is holding its general assembly at the end of the month, and in preparation for that, they've put out a bunch of legislative positions that they want us to prioritize, and I've taken a crack at that. And the Superintendent's Association, the business officers, and some other association have also put out their priorities. WASDA itself, I suppose. And so Ginger and I will be reviewing those in preparation for attending this conference statewide. So I hope to bring that. We hope to bring at the next meeting what the priorities we're heading toward, and for board concurrence or discussion if you don't have to actually approve them. That's what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Meg. And then board chair update. I will just briefly add to what Ginger had said. It was a really rewarding day. I took today off from work and spent all day working with the district, and that was just a real pleasure. I think the only thing that I would just add that I was in particular really excited about is I think this potentially I see it as a view of experiential learning that can be a potential great movement for our district in the future. It would provide students with real world sort of problems that they would need to come up with solutions for, which is just thrilling to see outside of the typical classroom and a lot of the learning experiences. So I'm thrilled to see where this could go. It also has so much to do with career exploration. There's just a lot of great things. So we will anxiously wait to see what the district puts together moving forward with that. But it was a great pleasure as a board member to be a part of that process and see it through. So thank you for that. That is it for board reports. So that brings us next to community input. So we have public comment. So Leslie, if you can get us set up for that. I will read off my script here. All right, individuals wishing to be heard by the board will add their names to the document in Zoom chat box, or individuals be recognized within Zoom by using the icon or emoji to raise their hand. Also, individuals who are here wishing to speak in person, please just make sure that you have checked in and signed the list with Leslie. Once the chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within a 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunities for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. The chair may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it's too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of such rulings. In accordance to the Open Publics Meeting Act 4230, agendas and topics must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments may be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org. Leslie, are we ready to open public comment? All right, and do we? Yes. All right, so we are going to start with Karen Bates. And as soon as you begin speaking, we'll set the timer for the 3 minutes. Thank you, Karen. Yes, thank you.
You've gotten an email from my husband, Lee, under my name on the computer. School is open 1 month tomorrow. I live in a neighborhood that has been mildly, moderately, horribly disrupted by the opening of Mount Stewart Elementary School with the traffic, continual traffic, because we have become a drop-off area for Mount Stewart Elementary School. I think you're probably aware of this. I think I'm not a woulda, shoulda, coulda been kind of girl, so I'm going to give you 3 specific issues and suggestions that I have. One is you need to solve the issue of drop-off and pickup. There's best practices for schools, which I'm sure you're aware of, separating buses, parking for staff, visitors, and parents, and student drop-off and parent drop-off. I have probably not witnessed quite anything like this in my lifetime, and I've been a public employee educator for over 30 years. Wednesday, early release, a nightmare. Pretty good today, I think, but a week ago, bad. Parents, kids, construction, it was a mess. You've got to solve that problem for this reason. In 2 weeks or some amount of time, Ida Nason, Aronica is going to open behind us. So Mount Stewart is to the west of me and my husband. Ida Nason, Aronica is to the north of us, right behind us. Each school goes in and out of Cora, which I know you're aware of. And as it stands today, we would not be without cars on our streets for approximately 80 minutes every morning and 80 minutes every afternoon. And I don't mean one car, two cars, three. Some neighbors have counted as many as 35 car trips by our homes in the morning and the afternoon. Some people are going slowly, some are not. Parents are parking, bless their hearts, walking their kids across Cora. And that's the very best thing to do. They have nowhere to go. So that needs to be solved for Mount Stewart. And the lessons learned at Mount Stewart need to be applied to Aronica Elementary, because you're going to face the same exact thing when that school opens. I want you to know that I am going to individually nag the city as much as I can to not give you an occupancy permit until Mount Stewart Elementary School. Oh, I'm coming to the end. Oh, shoot.
Thank you.
Ginger is a good gal. Get her some help.
All right.
Right?
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Leslie, do we have another public comment? We're having someone sign in. And again, if you are joining us via Zoom, if you can please raise your hand or the emoji to raise your hand so that we can identify that you would like to speak for public comment.
Hello, would you like to start your time now?
Yes, just please state your name and address.
Absolutely. My name is Eli Kuntzman, 1470 Game Farm Road, and I have a son at Morgan and a son here at Valley View. And we've dealt with the COVID thing the best that we can. I think that there's been zero children that have died of COVID, as was verified during the Zoom meeting with Dr. Larson the other day, but there's been over a dozen suicides and overdoses. And I'm here principally for the interest of my sons, but I'm also here as a concerned citizen. Last night, you guys sent out a testing protocol with two options. One's a test to stay, and another is a flow chart that outlines what our options are if we choose to get vaccinated. There's the vaccinated, and then there's the unvaccinated. And so there's a whole lot of side issues to my points, but I'd like to hone in particularly on the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution in 1868. It basically outlines that we're all have the right to equality under the law. Now, you talked about equality policy. I'm curious if that applies to non-vaccinated Christian men. There's 3 in my household. And also, solution tree, let's grow a branch and solve this problem without excluding children that are not vaccinated. Our constitutional amendment says that we should have equal protection under the law. And the solution and the testing protocol clearly outlines 2 options. Option 2 is a non-option. I spoke with Dr. Larson today, and he said, we don't actually recommend that. We don't want that option. We want everyone to be vaccinated. Not quoted. Option 1 clearly says that if you're exposed to a child with COVID, or my child is, we have 2 options. Going to option number 1, whether we like it or not. As you well know, if you've spoken to Dr. Larson, we are on the way to option 1, which is if you're vaccinated, you go to school. And if you're not vaccinated, you're out for 7 days and you fall farther and farther behind. What is this policy that you're foisting on us? Our community needs stability. Over a dozen suicides, broken marriages, problems abound. You're the only wall between us and chaos. History does not judge silence kindly. Please consider this in your future conversations.
Thank you. All right, Leslie, I see one hand virtually. All right, Chloe Matson. That is our student rep. Excellent. Chloe.
Hi.
You
Hi.
have the floor. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. Do you just want me to go over what Suvati and I were planning on saying?
Yes, that would be great. You just have 3 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Also, she's waiting outside right now, so I don't know if she'll be able to get in. But anyway, we really wanted to talk about how at the high school, I know that one of the problems that teachers have been dealing with is having kids keep their masks up and, just making sure that they're staying masked throughout the day. So actually our ASB and activities director just came up with a great idea. My fellow students and I are actually participating in something that they call like the Mask Buck program. And it's sort of, I don't know if you've heard from past years, at Morgan Middle School, they do power tickets. And so if a teacher sees you doing something good, they'll give you a power ticket and you can cash them in and get prizes. Well, with the Mask Bucks, if a teacher sees you wearing your mask up just wearing your mask right, they'll give you a mask buck. And I think the last 2 Wednesdays we've been able to get some popcorn, and it's been actually pretty successful with a lot of the high schoolers. I think at first there was some skepticism with it, but I think especially with teenagers, food is pretty popular among us, so they really like that. And I think we also wanted to touch on how well our sports teams are doing with masking in while being together. I know we've had a few cases, but I think that especially I run cross country. Mr. Hashimoto is very, very good about being like, hey guys, if we want to have a season, we have to keep our masks up. And I think kids are being really respectful of that. So I think it's overall been really good. And I can't wait to see what else is going to happen this year.
All right, thank you. And again, this is just a last call for anyone else in Zoom that would like to do public comment. All right, I don't see anyone else in public comment for Zoom. So I'm going to close public comment for Zoom. And it does look like we have one more person that has signed up for in person. So that will be our last public comment for the night. And as soon as you're signed in, just make sure. Perfect. And then just as a reminder, make sure you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lee R. Bates, and I want to be sure that you know it's R because there's another Lee Bates in town. I do not want to be confused with him. And I live at 1802 North Bluegrass Lane, Ellensburg. My wife is much cuter and much more eloquent than I. So I'm just going to ad lib here. I think what she wanted to say in 3 minutes goes very quickly, especially for someone who's loquacious like I am. But what she was going to say is Ginger is one person who is leading the school district. And Ellensburg is a relatively small school district. The one we came from is a really large Seattle suburban school district, and there were a lot of staff to help and do a lot of different things that my wife shouldn't have been having to do herself when she led the school district. Ginger is one person, and I'm really encouraging you to hire someone to at least temporarily. She is taking care of people that are complaining about masks. It's become a political problem, and it should not be. It is a public safety issue. She has to deal with curriculum issues, overlooking staff and students, thousands of students in our school district. She's opening 2 schools located in very close proximity, much to my chagrin. Too much. And she needs some, she doesn't need help. She's fully capable. Please don't misunderstand. I believe that the school district should, I would be very happy to have some of my tax dollars go to help Ginger with the opening of the 2 schools. Sorry. In the interim, yes. See, I can't say anything. So I fully applaud the work that Ginger is doing. I'm asking the board to consider spending some of our tax dollars to hire some people to help with basic logistic things, helping with crossing, helping the principal and the vice principal at Mount Stewart with making it more easily accessible for students and parents to bring their children to school. And I will reiterate what my wife said about Veronica. Oh God, I still have 45 seconds. Whoa. Before it opens, these problems really need to be taken care of. I taught school for 32 years. I was not an administrator. I ran a music program and I ran libraries at every grade level up through high school. And I will tell you, without being hyperbolic, it was a mess a few days ago, really a mess. My wife came in the house literally shaking. She was afraid a little child was going to be hit by one of the, don't even get me started on Garco. But anyway, I would advise or suggest kindly that Ginger be given some help. 1 second left. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so now public comment is now closed. Superintendent Haber, do you have any?
Well, first of all, I'd like to share, and I would say I would agree that it's important to separate staff and the student from the student drop off and pick up for parents as well as the buses. And fortunately, the way that Mount Stewart was designed, as well as Ida Nason, we had traffic engineers and specialists come together to actually design the building that way. And so right now we have buses that take students and pick them up in back of the school, and there's a special bus loop for that. And then the design of the building was to have students, the drop-off pickup, be in front with parents. And that's a really important flow, because in the back of the school is where like the playground is, and we really wanted to make sure that parents or community members are up front. We have the safety vestibule as parents or anybody who wants to go into the building. So safety, overall safety was a real key part of the design. And right now, the way it's structured, we are able to separate them. I think one of the issues, and this was brought up in community comment as well, is how do you separate out staff even more so? And right now it's a little difficult because they are still in the process of hauling off the old Mount Stewart. And so they are hoping to have that, completed fairly soon. And when that happens, I know I had a great talk with Kathy Kiefer, the principal of Mount Stewart, William Lorenz, assistant principal, and I even had a chance to talk with the whole staff today, which I really appreciated. And I know that Kathy is encouraging her staff, once all the debris of the old Mount Stewart gets taken away, and even some staff have asked, when do we get to park back in that old parking lot? So that should relieve some of that congestion that we have in the parking lot, because now parents will have more opportunities to actually park in the parking lot when the staff are able to move their cars over into where the old Mount Stewart is. That will become a parking lot again. So I think that will loosen things up. We also, when Ida opens, we have a built-in delay there that the city approved between when Ida releases and when they start, and when Mount Stewart releases and starts, and that got approved, and we had a whole software company look at that and so we're not anticipating any big problems with that. And William Lorenz Kathy showed me a video today of their one of their transition times, and you didn't see a lot of cars stacked up, and they even timed it. I think it was the after school pickup, and it took 8 minutes for parents to get their kids and move out. So I think that really a kudos, and I appreciate the offer of support. I feel that we have been working as a really good team, and really kudos, huge thank you and shout out to Kathy Kiefer and William Lorenz and the whole Mount Stewart staff. They've been problem solving and working hard to keep that transition smooth. And Damon Gardella, our OAC project manager, also came up with some really good plans on how to even make that traffic on Cora even go a little bit smoother. And so we plan to, I have just sent out an invite to our city manager to meet with us at Mount Stewart so we can all watch the after school pickup together, and then meet and just share some of those ideas on what we can continue to do just to improve that traffic on Cora. Also, just recently, I think it was today or late yesterday, the crosswalks were finally painted and put in. And so now Kathy is able to put crossing guards out there. So I'm just really in full support of the great work that Mount Stewart has done in really working on this, and I just think it's going to get better and better, and especially when IDA is completed and we're able to transition. The other thing we have to remember is we have kindergarten classes right now at Mount Stewart in the portables, which also adds to the traffic. And when IDA opens, all of the students and parents who have been taking their kids to kindergarten there, those kindergarten classes will then go up and join IDA, because they are the Lincoln kindergarten teachers that are there right now. So that will also loosen up some of that so that it'll just be a straight shot. And we do have a delay time built in that I think will just cause that to be smoother.
All right, thank you, Ginger. Okay, so next up in new business is proposed items for future consideration. I know that in the study session when we were clarifying, I know that we maybe had some requests for Garco. I'm just going to go first, Megan, then I'll turn it over to you. I think based off of what you just shared, I think it might be helpful if we are going to have Garco give us an update, it might be helpful to give us an update on the timeline as to when the construction will be out of the Mount Stewart area altogether, and maybe kind of what their phase out plan is. Of course, and it sounds like with safety as the number one concern. So that would be helpful for the board, I think, to have that update next time. And then Meg, I think you had something?
As the impacts of climate change have become more and more obvious over the last year or so, I've begun working with a group that's trying to work with the city to get them to reduce their emphasis on natural gas, which they currently subsidize, people using natural gas instead of electricity, which is sort of the opposite direction from which my group thinks we need to go. So we talked to the city, and people keep asking, well, what's the school district doing? And I say, well, when we decided in 2018, I don't think we had a lot of choice about, we had to use gas for heating. We couldn't begin to afford to use solar, but we did partly in response to school board questions, make both the new buildings solar ready. And while Garco is still around, it's been suggested to me it might be good to ask them to kind of cover that ground again and say, what does that really mean? And what would it take to actually convert from gas to solar if we were able to do that under some future circumstance? And so I would like to suggest that we ask Garco to talk to us about that subject.
Board, any other items for future consideration? All right, and Ginger, there is not an executive session tonight, correct? Board calendar, anything for board calendar?
No, we'll just continue to see what we can plan for a board retreat sometime that first week in November. And if somebody knows of somebody who'd be willing to donate space, that would be awesome. And I'll follow up with you guys on that.
Clarifications and next steps. There is nothing there. Signing of official documents. Leslie, I understand there is a bunch, so please, board, don't run off. Leslie needs our signatures, so please stick around for that. That leads us to adjournment, so I will entertain a motion. Is there a second? Tasha has moved that we adjourn. Is there a second? It looks like Jonathan has seconded, so the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.